everybody knows, what these are, right? Knockoffs. Don't buy. These are cheap knockoffs of the real thing. In other words, these aren't the real McCoy. Don't buy cheap knockoffs of stuff because too many things can happen. A lot of people have gotten conned into buying cheap knockoffs of the real thing. But like I said before, too many things can happen when you buy cheap knockoffs. A lot of things won't work. I said it. Most of the time the stuff won't work. Most of the time stuff are not compatible. Most of the time the wires in these cheap knockoffs will catch fire. But as I said, a lot of people have gotten conned into buying cheap knockoffs of the real thing. They sell cheap knockoffs. They try to sell cheap knockoffs of the real thing, and some states like New York, New Jersey, or anywhere they'll sell them like anywhere on the streets. Yeah, I said anywhere on the streets. And a lot of people, and like I said before, a lot of people have gotten conned into buying cheap knockoffs of the real thing. So don't buy knockoffs because, as I said, too many things can happen. The wires in these cheap knockoffs can catch fire. Even the product. Most of the time, these products won't work. Most of the time, these products are not compatible, and most of the time, the product itself will catch fire. But as I said, most people have gotten conned into buying cheap knockoffs of the real thing. So it's better to buy the real thing than buying cheap knockoffs. Because as I said, buying these cheap knockoffs will only make you look stupid, and they will only make you look stupid. You just make a big fool of yourself buying these cheap knockoffs. But as I said, a lot of people have gotten conned into buying these cheap knockoffs. Okay, here's a picture. Here's some pictures of some cheap knockoffs. See, knockoffs. These are just cheap knockoffs of the real thing. See, knockoffs. See, knockoffs. See, cheap knockoffs. See, that's all of these cheap knockoffs. Knockoffs. See, these are cheap knockoffs. See, cheap knockoffs. These are cheap knockoffs of the real thing. Just knockoffs. So, like I said, don't buy knockoffs. It's better to buy the real thing than these cheap knockoffs. Don't buy. But as I was trying to say, these cheap knockoffs are not the real McCoy. It's better to buy the real McCoy. It's better to buy the real McCoy than these cheap knockoffs. Because as I said before, too many things can happen when you buy these cheap knockoffs. Most of the time they catch fire. Most of the time the product itself will catch fire. Most of the time these products are defective. Most of the time these cheap knockoffs will have funny sounding. Most of the time these cheap knockoffs will have funny sounding names to them. And like I said before, a lot of people have gotten conned and to buy these cheap knockoffs. So it's better to buy the real McCoy than these cheap knockoffs.